in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please pray with me, please? Oh, Heavenly Father, as we gather today to carry on important business for our city, for our future, please assist us as we open our ears to those that are speaking, open our eyes to those that are around us, open our thoughts to everybody that's participating in this meeting today. Give us strength, give us wisdom, give us understanding. Pray, O Lord, O Heavenly Father, that we treat each other with dignity and respect as we address this council and as we address each other. Give us the foresight to lead our community to a bright and wonderful future that we can all be proud of, that our children can be proud of, and that our grandchildren can be proud of. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Aaron, that was Chaplain Steve Gentling. I didn't see it up there. Call to order our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting of September 20th. Public comments, I think the public comments that we have down really relate to City Council as opposed to Public Works, and I'll hold those to that time. Item number 3, discussion and possible action concerning the minutes of our Public Works Authority of September 6th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes? Unanimous approval of the authority meeting of September 6th. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on the special Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting of September 13th.
So moved.
Entertain a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes? Unanimous approval of the minutes of September 13th. Discussion and possible action concerning the engagement letter of Crawford and Associates for accounting and consulting for fiscal year 2017. Staff comments?
You got anything, Kim?
It's the annual engagement letter that we approve each year.
For
their service.
20-some years, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Submit your votes. See the votes. Unanimous approval to go ahead and entertain Crawford and Associates in the consulting and accounting business for us. Item number 6, discussion and possible action resolution 2016-18, which is adopting the 2017 budget. Staff comments.
Yeah, been adopting this resolution will keep us in conformance with state statutes, and we'll have a retreat/workshop /planning meeting /world's greatest meeting to go over all this stuff in detail, have presentations by each and every one of the department heads, and answer all your questions going over line item by line item in the near future. So as soon as you guys get us the dates that we can all meet.
You want that one? I'm sorry, I didn't realize which one you wanted.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Right now?
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't, it's also on the city council. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Carol Herzl, 3119 Cedar Ridge Court. I have a few comments, but I basically just have 2 questions at the end. Remember when Becky Luker was on council, Pat Ringrose? It was all about serving the community. Then at some point in year 2000, we got some advisors from another town, 3 of them. And they decided they wanted you to run businesses out of city council, sell water to other communities. So my question is, how good has Guthrie been at running a business? And that's going to be one of my final questions. I know somebody said, wouldn't it be interesting to know that when they decide to do these projects, do we really make any money? I asked the same question last year and never got an answer. So when we sell water to Langston, we know how much they pay us. We know how many gallons they use. You can divide that up and tell us if we're making money or losing money. And as far as I know, since 2004, no one has ever cared. Or if I just missed it somehow, I've never been able to find the figure. And that's one of my questions. And then the other thing, I'm sorry that Bill Myers is here, because we spend so much money with Bill Myers. It's all about a paycheck for Bill Myers. And I know that, remember the $13,000 fine we got from your work that you didn't do? No, I remember that. Well, I've got it in my folder. Okay, but anyway, I mean, I don't mean to talk about things about Bill Myers when he's here, but it just goes on, the list goes on and on and on. It's very easy to vet all the projects he's done through DEQ, and everybody knows DEQ has to approve every engineering thing we do. And so I say, why do we keep having to hire Bill Myers when everything he does is subpar? And they say, we tell the city managers over and over again, vet your engineers. Every time.
Are you sticking to budget?
Yes, I am. You know, think how much money we.
I actually would like to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, this is the first thing they did, the water line to Langston. And this is, I can put these documents online. Okay. So, Bill Myers made $400,000 for the Langston line, water line to Langston. I think I got that from Wanda Calvert. I have the figure. Guthrie made $19,000. There was no profit. And that comes from Oklahoma Water Resources Board. So we continue on and on and on, all these projects. How do we make money on a dam project? Okay, so I don't want to keep going on, but you can vet the engineers.
Well, I can answer that.
What?
We don't make money on a dam project, okay? The dam project is so that we have ample water to supply our community is what the dam project's about. That's exactly what that's about.
Okay.
On my
Yeah.
side of the
There could be difference of
fence, I mean.
opinion. Okay. And then we have the ballot. Now, this is city manager. We have the ballot in February that says City of Guthrie. City of Guthrie. Nowhere on there does it say Guthrie Public Works, right? Remember that? It can only be used for capital improvements, City of Guthrie.
What is the relationship to the budget? You
Because-
identified you wanted to talk about the
Okay, but
budget.
why are you interrupting
Carol?
me? It's like everybody wants to know why we spend so much money on projects that don't make any sense. And immediately, as soon as we said it was only for City of Guthrie, immediately Bruce says, let's give $800,000 to Bill Myers for pre-engineering for Guthrie Public Works. So, and then Bruce says, as soon as the people vote, Bruce says, well, I'm not going to listen to the people. Guthrie Public Works and City of Guthrie are different.
My understanding that $800,000 for engineering for the wastewater treatment plant is what my understanding of that $800,000 for, and I still don't think that we are fully understanding of what that entails, in my opinion.
All right, okay. So, and then also, you know, I asked somebody, I said, isn't that kind of vague, capital improvements? Because 2 years before that, it specifically said, we're going to spend 33% on police, 50% on this, set out exactly what we're spending. So Bruce, how can you be so vague on
Bruce
what
didn't
money
draw the
goes to?
ballot title, and capital improvements are capital only. They cannot be used for personnel needs.
Okay,
They
and
can only be
here's
spent for
City of Norman. Everything they got was set out in a resolution. They couldn't vary, like we're going to vary, like everything's, a lot of things that were promised aren't going to happen.
I don't think you know that, and you have 1 minute.
For budget, I thought you had more than 1 minute.
No, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. All right, so then my question at the end is, will you tell me how much profit we've made for selling water to Langston? I mean, well, you tell everybody. We've been doing it since 2004. Can we have a report on how good Guthrie is at business?
Yes,
Okay.
you can get a report.
Okay.
You're not going to get it tonight.
Oh, no, I know that, yeah. And then I also know that when Matt Mueller was here, and the cost of providing water, I ask every year, was more than $5. And so I guess, did the cost go down? We've borrowed more money, but the cost of providing water went down? Is it, Kim, Bruce said you calculate that every year?
I've provided
Yeah, the actual cost that I provided you today is about $5.04 per thousand gallons on there. We sell to the city of Langston at $5.22 per thousand. We sell to the city of Cool at $6.11 a thousand, but they're on a take or pay policy, which means they're actually paying a lot more than that per thousand. So actually, if you do it by per thousand ratio, just by what we charge them on a month-to-month basis, yes, we are obtaining a profit both from Langston and
Okay,
Coyle.
just wanna know
And
enough.
also, when you go forward, as you're calculating those costs, when you're selling more water, the actual cost of treating that water pro-rationally goes down. Therefore, your net goes up when you're actually selling the water out there. So not only Langston and Coyle will have more profitability, but also more profitability to GPWA2 once we start selling water over to the rural water district. So it's like any other commodity. You can go from essentially retail to a wholesale, and that's kind of what we're in the process of doing, is selling from about 1.3 million gallons a day. And here in the future, underneath our contracts right now, it can be anywhere up to about 4 million gallons a day. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at and what we're doing. And as far as I know from the numbers that I've run, on my quick math as I go through the budget, everything seems to be online and on par with not what only they've done in the past, but what we're currently doing this year, and hopefully what we'll continue to do in the future.
Okay, so again, I'd like to know what the profits have been, which I guess Ken will get that for me. That's what Bruce said.
You did send me an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
also,
you have-
my
you have-
final
you
question.
have 20 seconds.
My final question is, we just voted to have these capital improvements, City of Guthrie, not Guthrie Public Works. And did we already mortgage that penny?
You haven't mortgaged it, use it as a collateral.
Use it as collateral?
Correct.
Okay. So once we use it as collateral for this $16 million new loan, we have less money to spend on the projects that we were told we were spending on.
Not in reality, because your debt service payments per year have gone down. So actually, you have more money to spend back on your water projects going forwards, because you have a less of a debt service payment on that.
So-
And the money that actually came from both the general fund sales tax and the capital improvement sales tax are still free to be used as the council desires on a year-to-year basis, based upon how the elections and the results of the resolutions and the ballots went.
But my question is, why would you give the penny if we didn't need
To
it?
get for lower interest rates, so you can have more money to go out and spend.
It's good business. Thank you, Ms. Herzl.
Goodness, it's okay.
So we are into item number 6, which is discussion possible action regarding resolution. Again, any
Nothing other than that.
additional staff
Yeah,
comments?
We're going over it in detail here in the next couple of weeks.
What does that mean? Go over it in detail in the next couple of weeks.
We had a request to have presentations from each and every one of the department heads. We had a staff meeting, what was our staff meeting this week? There you go, yesterday, I've already forgotten. We had our staff meeting, so everyone's prepared to come forward with all the information they have on the request, and I believe that'll be beneficial for all of us in order to make sure that we know what we're working towards together, is to have that meeting so we can kind of go over not only what each and every one of the department heads feel in their mind are both the strengths and the weaknesses of their department, but what their needs are to carry out their everyday services and programs. So I just want to make sure that the council is aware of that, I'm aware of that, and we're all in the same room at the same time speaking about where we'd like to see and go forward together.
Well, 2 weeks ago, we asked for a workshop. We had one last week. I wasn't here, but we had one, and then from what I saw, we didn't really have one. So we still haven't had one, and you're asking us to approve another budget that we haven't really talked about, and I'm really not comfortable doing that. But my thoughts are, since this is a public works and we've got a whole lot more stuff in the city council agenda to actually feed into it as well, we probably ought to come back to this in the public works agenda item after we've gone through the other items in the city council. And so we're not covering things twice.
I agree.
I agree with
That makes
Councilman Z. I think trying to vote something through that we really haven't heard anything about yet without having.
Do we need a motion to
proper-
move it?
You need a motion.
So
to-
moved.
If that's what you want to
Second.
do, the motion is to
Got a motion and a
recess,
second.
recess Public Works, not adjourn it, and then you can reopen Public Works whenever you want to.
Got a motion and a second.
So moved.
Excuse me.
Well, we still have another item on
We
the
have
agenda.
another item. Can we recess it after the 7th item is?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll amend
So-
my motion to include that.
Okay. So recess after the 7th item.
Right.
And who seconded?
And I second.
And you agree with that second? You agree with
Yes,
that?
I agree with that second.
That amendment?
We amendment.
Okay.
to
Any other
carry on.
discussion? Okay, submit your votes. See the votes? Unanimous to recess after item number 7 and incorporate it into the city council agenda item also concerning budget. Item number 7, discussion possible action on Myers Engineering task number 80. Mr. Myers?
I'm going to introduce Matt Coe here. Matt is one of our engineers. He's working on the project on the Cottonwood Dam. He's going to do the presentation here, and I just wanted to add a little bit to y'all that we've been working for Guthrie since about December of '99, and we've had a great relationship. And just so you'll know, some of y'all weren't on the council when we started, but the fees we charge are commensurate with the industry. And I don't know, the reference was made to a fine. We didn't cause a fine. That's just, you all should know that, okay? But I welcome the criticism. That means we're doing something right. That's all I got to say. So I'm not offended by it by any means, with the criticism, but I just wanted y'all to know that, we're here for the long haul with the city, and we've been through a lot of wars, a lot of battles. We've gone through a lot of things. So we just appreciate the city of Guthrie. And Matt's going to talk about the Cottonwood Dam project. Maybe it'll bring to light some questions that people had. And we just hope that it'll be informative and you'll enjoy it.
Okay, good. Matt, it's all yours.
Thank you. Once again, thank you for inviting us up to discuss the project. I'm going to start off by going basically through a little bit of the project, the objectives, and the project timeline, and where we are today, the work that's been performed, and what still needs to be performed to complete the project. And then at the end, I'm going to open it up to questions, comments, and discussion for the council, if that sounds good.
Thing around so he can hear it on the deal.
Wait. He's got a mic on.
It's not. I can talk into this. That sounds a little better, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. So we'll start off with the project objectives. The Cottonwood Creek Dam, obviously the objective of the project was to increase the capacity of the raw water intake by slightly raising the water. Currently, the intake pipe has very little water over the top of the intake pipe, and so the capacity of the raw water intake is limited during low flow conditions. There's been some floods in the past that have destroyed an existing dam that used to be in place, and there was also some woody debris and some obstructions downstream that were causing a backwater effect that kept the water surface just the depth right there at the intake pipe just a little bit deeper, and allowed the city to pull more water from the Cottonwood Creek. We've since lost that backwater effect, and now we are in a little bit of a bind, and so we've been looking at raising the Cottonwood Dam. We've had several, this has been going on for a while, and we'll go over the timeline right now and discuss where we're at today and where we've been. The original contract was issued on June 4th of 2013. Myers Engineering was issued a task order, and in that task order, we were to begin looking at alternatives to improve the raw water intake structure at the existing at the Cottonwood Creek intake structure. In the task order, they asked us to limit our engineering fees to $3,500 per month and just work on it gradually over time. And then eventually we would enter into a full engineering agreement once everything, the project was defined and we had direction to move forward with the selected alternative. Immediately after we received the task order, administration and the project management began allocating our resources to work within that $3,500 budget constraint. And one of the first items that we did was we contacted the Fish and Wildlife Service to determine if there was going to be any issues with endangered species. This project involves working within a regulatory floodway, and one of the questions, so it's going to require a CLOMAR, a conditional letter of map revision. Anytime you place fill material within a regulatory floodway, you have to talk to FEMA about what you're doing and get FEMA's approval to do so. And one of the questions that they ask you is, did you talk to the Fish and Wildlife Service about the Endangered Species Act? So this was one of the first things we did, because if we're going to have a hiccup here, we want to know right off the get-go so that we weren't wasting the city's money to work on a project that may never come to fruition. So at the end of July, they got back to us after we prepared the submittal and addressed all the potential endangered species that might have been in the project area. and gave them reasons why this project should have very little impact, if any, on the habitat or endangered species. And they agreed, and they sent us back a concurrence letter, said, yes, this project will not adversely impact any critical habitat or endangered species. And we also, at project initiation, one of the first things we did was we contacted FEMA. FEMA maintains a library, and they keep all the effective flood models, dating back from when the National Flood Insurance Policy Act came about. They keep all the effective models in the library, and we obtained the data and the effective models. Well, we weren't actually able to obtain digital copies of the models because they were so old for the Cottonwood Creek. They're from the 1970s, that they were actually microfilm, rather difficult to read. They're performed probably in computers almost the size of this room to get the outputs. But when we do our flood study, we have to make sure that we're not causing an increase in flood elevations on account of what we were doing within the special flood hazard area, in this case, in the floodway. We're not allowed to increase the flooding depths. But we're just talking about a low water dam inside a creek that has a large floodplain area, and so, but we still have to prove it to FEMA that we're not increasing the flood depth. So we obtain the data that we need to make the necessary tie-ins when we do our hydraulic modeling. In order to do our hydraulic modeling, we have to go out and we have to survey the entire area. We began our survey in August of 2013. Survey went out there. We went out there and we surveyed 400 acres, about from the Broadway Bridge all the way up to a distance about 2,000 feet upstream of where the existing dam is. And that's because we have to tie in to the water surface elevations in the effective study and model that entire reach to show that, we have the same depth here at Broadway Bridge before we started the project. We have the same depth where we tie into the effective model at the downstream end, and we're not adversely affecting or increasing flood depths through there. So a survey went out there, they collected data, it took them till April to complete it. To date, the city spent about $35,000 to survey the 400 acres. It was treacherous. If anybody's been down there along the Cottonwood Creek, the banks in some areas are 25, 30 feet high. Typically, on projects such as this, we would hire out aerial surveys or perhaps use LiDAR to do so, to gather the data much faster. But doing that would have cost nearly double or triple the money than what we spent so far in survey. And so I'm really happy with our survey crew and the data they've obtained. I actually brought a couple full-size plots of the area that they surveyed and also overlaid it on the FEMA floodplain map because some people might wonder, well, why did you survey so far out away from the banks of the creek? Well, it's because we had to model the entire 100-year flood inundation area. And if you look at that, it is a very large area. So it is approximately 400 acres in all that we topographic surveyed. And we did this during the winter because we were able to gather data and we were able to collect data faster during the winter months when when the vegetation was dead, the trees, we were able to get satellites within the woods, use GPS. We weren't having to use 2- and 3-man survey crews and go out and clear brush, so we're saving time. And we're still working within this $3,500 budget constraint per month that was in the task order. So in April, after we had all the survey data, our CAD department began importing the data and started creating a digital terrain model. They basically brought everything in AutoCAD and they created an existing surface. From that existing surface, I'm going to be able, I'll use that for engineering to create an existing conditions model to try to calibrate it and make it match what FEMA has on file with their records. Sometimes that's possible, sometimes it's not possible to do it because they had limited data in the 70s. Sometimes they do their mapping based off USGS, and sometimes you come back with better data and you can't do it, and they'll typically say, okay, we're going to allow you to utilize your better data. In this case, there's been a number of times we've dealt with old models that were based off USGS data, and then we go out and fly the area and then do our flood study, and we'll get different answers, but we just have to explain it to them, and they'll let us go on with it. So CAD started working on that. And in July, CAD had created the digital terrain model, and they started working on some preliminary designs per mine and Bill's direction on different alternatives to look at. And so we created some preliminary plans, preliminary cost estimates, and we presented those to Guthrie Public Works. In December of 14, we had some conceptual plans complete. On January 5th of 2015, we sent a letter to the city, and we indicated a probable construction cost in excess of $1 million to construct a proper structure that's going to provide a long service life. The city came back, or the Public Works came back and requested that we look at maybe some value engineering ideas, because this was just a little bit more than what they had available to budget for the project at that time. So we went back to the drawing board and started looking at some different ideas, some things we could do to reduce the cost. A large cost, which we'll go through cost estimates in a minute so you can kind of see what some of the expensive items were. In February of 15, though, we provided our revised cost estimates to the city, and then we came to the workshop on February 17th. Yes, February 17th. We came to a workshop and we presented some information. Some of you were there at that time, and there are some new faces on the council at this time. So that's why we're going back through everything so everybody's informed on what's been done to date. On February 25th, 2015, there was a little bit of a social media uprising, and the rumors had spread that Guthrie was constructing a lake on the Cottonwood. They heard dam, they heard on the Cottonwood. So we provide some water surface profiles to the city to kind of to be able to let people know that we weren't creating a lake, that we were keeping the water within the banks of the river, and kind of depicted, showed exactly where the pipe was, showed where the existing water surface level is today, and then showed where the water surface would be in relation to the pipe and the banks in the future, and that seemed to set everybody's minds at ease at that time. On March 2nd of 2015, after we had approval from the Public Works Authority that, okay, this is our budget, this is kind of where we need to be in this neighborhood, so we were able to come up with the preliminary design, start moving forward with it. We contacted a geotechnical engineering firm. We need some data, obviously, about subsurface conditions and soil properties in order to be able to construct a dam. We obviously are going to be placing a lot of riprap, and so we need to know things like slope stability analysis. How much do we have to pull these banks back in order to be able to place the riprap on the banks? Can this bank support the weight of the riprap at a 2-to-1, or do we have to cut it back at a 4-to-1? These are things that we don't know until we go out and we actually grab some soil samples and they run some laboratory tests on the materials. July 19th, we received an issued geotechnical contract sometime, I believe it was in June of 2015. I left that off the slide there. Apologize for that, but we had a site visit with the geotechnical engineer on site on July 29th of 2015, and I believe Tenny had went down there and actually cleared some area so he could gain access to the dam to be able to collect data on one side. The problem is he needed to be able to collect data on the other side, and around September of 2015, well, in August, the Public Works Director provided a report. I found this on the council minutes that, that the low water dam, that the construction cost estimates were complete, and that plans were complete. Preliminary plans were complete. Obviously, this was a week after we had the site visit with the geotechnical engineer, so final plans can't be complete until we have the geotechnical engineering information to be able to properly design the foundations and verify that we have adequate slope stability to support any shoreline protection we have. But yes, the cost estimates were complete, and then the city also made a motion then to use the Oklahoma City water line fund to fund the project at that point in time.
That was in August.
Yes, sir. August 4th, 2015. That's directly verbatim off the minutes on the website. In September of 2015, we were made aware that we have an easement issue. What kind of brought this about was that we started talking about access on the Hussmans, I believe. Is that correct pronunciation? Hussmans, I'm sorry. The Hussmans property, we need to obtain geotechnical data from the other side, so Public Works staff began contacting the Hussmans and discussing what we were looking at doing down in there, and to date, no negotiation. No, the negotiations have not come to an agreement with the Hussmans to date about entering into a long-term lease with them to be able to access the site. Currently, right now, the easement only covers the area that goes out to the to where the intake pipe is situated in the creek. It's written to the center line of the creek is where your existing easement is, and now we need to do work outside the easement. The city owns a small amount of property down there, basically where the pump station is situated. The city owns that, but the remainder of the land is just on a lease, and it expired in June of 2016. And that's a major issue.
That's a major.
Yes. But it's not, it can be overcome. In December of 2015, we set a status, and just to, let everybody know that, we have to get the environmental clearances, we have to have FEMA's approval, we have to have Corps of Engineers approval before we can begin construction. In order to get those approvals, we have to have the design completed, and we have to submit the CLOMAR, which is the hydraulic model, to FEMA in order to do that. In February, we kind of backed off the project because we're running out of work to do. We were running out of work to do. We didn't know if we were going to be able to reach an agreement, so we weren't sure where the project was going, so we backed off, and negotiations have been ongoing with the Hussmans regarding getting access to the property or some sort of agreement in place to be able to construct the project, maintain the project, and operate the facility. On February 17th, we were contacted to start looking at maybe some potential grants. The USBR had some smart drought-resistant grants that they come out with every year, and we did a little investigation on that. But what we came to find out was that typically those were awarded to states and communities and water districts that were located along the Colorado River basin. They have a little bit more of a water shortage problem than we do here in Oklahoma. Their drought seemed to be a little bit more prolonged and sustained, and they have over-allocated their resources. So we were also asked to look at possibly another location for a low water dam, and we stated that it is possible we could construct a new low water dam at a different location. However, the environmental clearances would be slightly more difficult because now we're moving from a site where we have an existing dam to a site where we're proposing constructing a new dam. So from a 404 permit standpoint, it would be more difficult, and we would have to do more mitigation in order to be able to get a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, since this is covered under navigable waters of the United States under Section 404. On the 1st of this month, we met with city staff, and we kind of reviewed, the project today, just to bring everybody up to date. We also went out and did a site visit to look at another potential location along 5th Street that a low water dam could be constructed. And then we also said we would attend tonight's meeting to bring everybody up to date on the project status. And that's the project timeline to date. Just to kind of highlight some of the things that were in the January 21st letter that we had written to the city prior to coming to the meeting. We presented the causes of the existing dam failure. Essentially, you had bank erosion occurring on the what would be the north bank on account of no riprap, and now we also had the existing dam that was creating a lot of turbulence right there. So the north end of the dam, which is kind of located on a little meander bend there too, it was just more shear force exerted against there, and we just eventually lost the soil structure there that was holding the dam together. We also presented some of our concerns, which involved, bank erosion, woody debris, and sediment accumulating in front of the dam, which would, woody debris would have put additional stresses on a dam, especially an earthen embankment dam. And then the sediment issue, if we construct a dam, we're obviously going to be having sands and coarse grain materials settling out in front of our intake structure. That's going to have to be maintained, remove those sediment from time to time. Also in that letter, we notified the, restoring the dam to the existing condition would definitely not provide a long-term solution because the banks are too highly erodible in that area. It's just not a stable enough area to just restore what was there before. I mean, basically what was there before, if you haven't been down there and seen it, was an earthen embankment with concrete rubble placed over was all that the dam was comprised of. We also notified the city that restoring the dam could potentially lead to litigation from the property owner because the riprap, now we're creating more turbulent conditions right there at that meander bend, and that we need to really kind of straighten and extend that riprap down a little bit to prevent eroding somebody's property away. So we wanted to make sure the city was aware of that and any agreements they might have to be able to perform this work, to be able to make provisions to protect themselves from any erosion that might occur immediately downstream from this. We also notified them that restoring the dam to its existing condition would not provide a long service life. We also stated that to provide a design that might last 50, 75 years, that you would be in excess of $1 million. You know, but we could also reduce the maintenance requirements and have a reliable source. I'll open up to questions in just a moment. We're almost there. We were then notified that was just outside the budget, but we need to get something going that was a little bit more, you know, that could provide some service, but maybe you could add on to, build on to in the future. So we went back, we did some value engineering, and then we came to the February meeting and presented the alternative that we were pursuing with. You know, during that board meeting, we presented the options that fit within the budgetary constraints of the city. We did that by reducing the amount of riprap and also constructing an earthen embankment dam protected with riprap, and then looking at doing some soil modifications to increase the shear strength of the soil and not constructing a concrete dam. The disadvantages of that, as I discussed earlier, was the sediment, debris, maintenance issues, and that it wouldn't provide a long service life as a concrete dam would. But the advantages obviously was within the project budget, and it would provide the city the ability to utilize the pump station at full capacity. I believe the last meeting there was a little bit of concern expressed about the quantity of water that flows down the Cottonwood Creek. I obtained some, there's a USGS gauge station on Broadway right there. They collect data there, and there was some flow data available from 1973 to 1982 and from 1989 to 2002, and I did a base flow analysis. Basically, I wanted to just see, you know, separate the runoff from storm flow events to basically your base flow, which is infiltration from groundwater coming in from the sides along the river, or, you know, any other point discharges that may be occurring upstream, such as wastewater treatment plant effluent from Bethany, War Acres, and Deer Creek wastewater treatment plants. You can see in between 73 and 82, we were looking at a median of about 30.8 cubic feet per second. That's about 15,000 gallons per minute. Going by the point at which our intake structure was taken, that intake structure was designed for 3,000 gallons per minute, so there was plenty of water. We saw an increase in flows along this reach, which is likely attributable to developments and increasing wastewater flows being discharged upstream, and now we're closer to about 30,000 gallons per minute on average coming by that point. So there is an ample supply of water there. The Oklahoma Water Resources Board would not have issued you a water rights permit had there not been. The alternatives, you know, I'm going to just go back over the alternatives and construction cost estimates. Alternative one was just to reconstruct the dam. Alternative two is to move forward with the original selected alternate budgeted with the Oklahoma City Waterline Fund. And number three was to construct a improvement that would provide, you know, a service life hopefully longer than my career.
But number two is what we approved.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I'm just reviewing them, and we have not deviated. If you guys wanted to go with number three, then we could certainly do that. If we still want to go with number two, that's totally.
Without an easement.
Can't do anything without an easement. That's correct. But there are means and methods to go about, you know, acquiring the land, negotiations. I mean, we have the infrastructure there to do it. It's the most cost-effective place. It's the most environmental friendly place to construct a dam. It's really, you know, if you had two raw water dams, it'd be great because you'd be looking forward to the future. But if you just need one, you need to move forward with this one because you already have the raw water infrastructure in place and the ability to keep your lakes be able to keep Liberty Lake full too is important during drought conditions. To be able to utilize those lakes as terminal storage reservoirs and to be able to rely on this water source whenever the lakes turn over and you start having taste and odor issues on account of algae growth, or you start having manganese issues on account from the lake turning over.
Yeah, my understanding, there's also an old dam behind Guthrie Lake. You ever looked at that one?
I have never been made aware of any dam below Guthrie Lake.
You'll find that there was at one point. That's what the old timers always say right near Davis Road, back behind Guthrie Lake. There's a dam for 100 years down there, boy.
Well,
Looking at that, and I said, I don't know.
None,
We were presented
none of the
for long-term solutions. Number two.
Well, anywhere along the Cottonwood Creek, it would be a potential area. There's obviously areas that are more ideal than others to construct a dam, but I certainly was not made aware of anybody.
Check that out.
So restore the existing dam. We had a construction cost estimate. We were replacing about 1,200 tons of riprap and just restoring the dam almost to its original condition, except we were replacing the busted concrete with riprap. That was about $300,000, $250,000 to $300,000 construction cost estimate. The option that was selected at the February meeting in 2015 had a construction cost estimate of around $450,000 to $550,000, and
that's still where we have the easement issues, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's what we approved.
This right here is exactly what you approved right here. This is a plan view. You can see the riprap on the banks, and then you can see the dam going across the creek right there. This is the existing intake pipe right there, and the wet well and pump station located right here. This is just a section view taken through the dam that we're going to place in the Cottonwood Creek. You have a cement stabilized soil protected with a thick layer of riprap. This was the profile that we provided. You'll see the bottom is the stream bed. The next line up was the existing low water line. You'll notice that it is just barely over the top of the intake pipe. You can actually see the top of the intake pipe when you stand down there by the structure. We also show the high water line, the low water line to be about 5 feet above the pipe after you construct the dam, which will increase and provide the capacity that you need to be able to operate the pump station. This was also the profile that was developed to stop the social media uprising. Okay, long-term improvements. This was looking at doing concrete dams and much more riprap. As you can see here, we're talking about 8,200 tons of riprap. We're talking about drilled piers, and we're talking about pouring concrete and constructing a concrete structure in the dam. Actually, 2 concrete structures. And the construction cost estimate there was around $1.5 million.
Is this where, on Fifth Street?
No, sir. Yes, sir. This is just
Location. Same space, okay.
this is just something that if
No easement location.
no easement location. That's right. And having an easement there is probably not the best best thing for the city. It'd probably be best for the city to own that land, to be quite frank. But
No, I agree.
and so what we have here is we have 2 dams placed here. We have basically we're pulling from a pool between the 2 dams, and the advantage to this is you have an upstream dam that's going to catch a lot of your sand load and fine sediment and some of the debris that comes down prior to getting in front of the intake pipe, and so it's going to be a lot less maintenance, a lot less difficult to take care of the maintenance. We're also providing concrete access paths to be able to get down there with a track hoe and remove any woody debris or sediment periodically. We had that in the other design too, but just the frequency in which you would have to do it would increase because it would be your sediment on the other option would be accumulating right there where your intake pipe is, whereas this one is going to be upstream and you're still allowing the flow to come into your pool and then ultimately out.
So I got a question on the easement. So is the easement just too cost prohibitive and there's no option to buy?
We're getting to that in just a moment. This is a section view of basically what this dam, basically what we do is we would put drill piers, or we're showing drill piers here. The geotechnical engineer might come back and say you can use driven piers down into the bedrock with a pier cap and then a reinforced concrete wall across the channel. And then you would have the riprap lining the banks to make sure that you're going to not lose your banks and maintain the integrity of your banks and hence maintain the water surface through that reach. It's a little bit about the city's responsibilities for completion of the project. Basically, what we need you to do is to, reach an agreement with the Hussmans, and then we can get the geotech in there to work to where we can finalize the construction plans. Here's a little diagram of the land required. It's about 12.5 acres. It's access. That's primarily why we need so much, is because we need to be able to come in from both sides of the creek. We have access along the railroad right-of-way right now on the south side, so that's not an issue. But on the north side of the creek, you do not have access there. We're also going to need a pretty good laydown area for equipment and riprap to be able to go in there and actually construct the project. Plus, you want to make sure that you own enough ground immediately adjacent to your improvements that if you do start having some erosion or some issues, it's on the city's own property and it's not a liability to you. If you can address it before it starts encroaching on somebody else's property and leave yourself less liable. So this is essentially the area that we're recommending the city try to purchase if they can reach an agreement or pursue other means.
We have to, we'll go through eminent domain if that's what the council desires to acquire. We can acquire the land and we can acquire it fairly quickly. So.
Okay, that's good news.
Do we have a sense of fair market value, or can we say that?
No.
I'm not an appraiser. I'm not an appraiser.
And don't guess.
I know what prime hunting real estate goes for in Illinois.
All right, so we've got to come back to you is what it looks like.
Now, engineering services remaining. Yes. I do have some work left to do. There is some work left to be done. We need to complete the geotechnical investigation so we can finalize the design. After that's done, I'll submit a hydraulic model to FEMA to demonstrate that we're not causing an increase in flood elevations and obtain a CLOMAR so we can go in there and work in the floodway. We also need to obtain the 404 permit or nationwide permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. And then we have to obviously solicit the project, and then we'll have engineering during construction. And that's...
Are we still at the $550,000 if we own the land?
That does not, that's construction cost, sir.
Right, no, I understand that.
So
I just want to make sure we're still at that if we own the land. So let me be real clear. On number 2 that we approved.
Yes, sir.
If we own the land, does number 2 get us long-term or is that short-term?
Number 2 is not as long-term a solution.
What's long-term? I mean, for number 2, what are we looking at?
It's difficult to say. It depends on what happens down there with the flood. You're talking about a cement stabilized soil down there that if we have a 1,000-year event down through there, you're talking about relying on a pile of rocks and soil that could potentially wash out. Could it be repaired? Chances are it might take out a portion of it and you can repair it. You still probably have some of the riprap there, but it's something that you could lose overnight and it might just be a Band-Aid fix. Then again, we might put it in there and it might last for 20 years. It's difficult to say. With the concrete structure, we could place a concrete structure in there and have a lot more confidence onto the service life of that.
Number 3, right?
Yeah, that's the more expensive alternative, yes.
And that's 50-some years.
That's longer than my career. I will be retired by then. See, that's the advantage of having a guy that's in his 30s. Is my design life is a lot longer. But I'd like to go ahead and just open up to any questions or comments or concerns that anybody may have.
What are on the 5th Street? Because I've heard 5th Street being mentioned, which is a new location. Do we have any guesstimates on the cost? Is there going to be a lot more by moving it?
You still be around $1.5 million, $2 million there, because you're going to have to run about, we're going to have close to a mile of main. It's not terrible. It's not like we're going right through the middle of downtown with the main. We can kind of stay there through the floodplain area and get to the water treatment plant, but there's still quite a bit of cost associated with that. One thing that is nice about the 5th Street Bridge area, though, is its proximity within a bridge. It's kind of a geologically stable environment. There's already some existing riprap in place there and stuff, and one of the nationwide permits that the Corps of Engineers will allow is you can within like a bridge or box culvert, you're allowed to place riprap within 150 to 200 feet upstream and downstream of both sides of the bridge. So they really won't hold that much fill against you in the permitting process. It's when you have to get an individual permit for a 404 that you start having to look at doing some environmental enhancements off-site or looking at avoidance and minimization of the project you're doing.
We're gonna have to start some of the other fish and wildlife and endangered species questions over again.
You know, it'd be...
Fifth Street Bridge is special around here. I read a lot of Facebook things about endangered species.
Giant sharks.
Like alligators.
Yeah, you might have to,
Five-legged deer.
you might be liable, might be a little bit more liable for a noodle or somebody going down there and getting hung up in the dam, I
But
suppose.
didn't you already say that the original location is the best location?
Yes, because you've already got the pump station there, you already have an existing dam there, you're able to pump to the lake. Yes, it's just makes sense to go right back where it is. Fifth Street would be an ideal location for another one in the future should Guthrie decide that, should Guthrie need to increase their raw water supply sources?
Matt, Aaron needs.
Go ahead and go over that mic. You can answer questions.
Okay.
I will,
I was starting to feel like I was a hunchback.
I will say this too, is that I was, back in February when I obtained the information regarding the possible Department of Interior money for drought relief, is that was my initial conception, was that we could have something that is Fifth Street, so we'd have essentially a redundancy factor on what our intake was, so we could also out in the future utilize essentially a reversal from our lakes into the Cottonwood Creek, getting us additional treatment just by the natural flow back in there, and also after we built and construct our wastewater treatment plant, change the location of our effluent from the Cimarron into the Cottonwood. And at that point in time, I think we'd have enough flow within the Cottonwood after the effluent enters it to have a proper reuse. So essentially you would have a tertiary effect of having a water supply not only from the creek but from the lakes, and also reuse. So that would definitely cover all the water that we could ever need or want, or to have the capacity to treat going into the future. But the biggest drawback from that is you can't fill your lakes back from that location. And that's why, after multiple discussions with Myers Engineering, I've even come to the recognition that since we already have all the infrastructure in place at our current intake, that overrides any possible positive effects we see doing the Fifth Street right now, because it would take care of all of our issues that we currently have. And those issues are, is first getting dirty water from the Cottonwood Creek so we have a better ability to treat, and also, like Matt was indicating, that a flowing water doesn't have algae, and it also doesn't have the manganese that we currently have had our issues with. So secondly, above and beyond that, is trying to figure out, and going back to Councilman Bothroyd's question, is what are our expectations for a solution for our water issues? Not only do we want quantity, but we want quality. And those are the two things that we're trying to solve here today. And as I've gone back and reviewed all this information, started back, and it's actually from 2011, before a signed contract was done in 2013. Even at that point in time, with $1.5 million project being proposed, even back in that day at $3,500 a month to get the engineering done, it was at a minimum of 3.5 years before anything could come to fruition, and that happens to be on the exact time frame that we are right now. That's what I think at the end of this entire presentation, we like to answer any questions you guys may have, and see if there's a possibility for us to do a long-term solution out there instead of a solution that may last 20 years, may last 2 years. We don't know based upon whatever flood events we may have coming up. So,
Matt, on the initiative that's been already approved, how long would it take once, if there was, easement issue was not an issue, how long does it take to actually construct the dam and start having water flow from it?
The construction, 75 days on the construction. It'll take longer to get it through the FEMA than it will to get the construction done. Jumping through the bureaucratic hoops is what's going to take longer than anything.
Yeah. Okay. Other questions of Matt?
I think we're going to have another damn meeting.
I will say this, guys, that after last year, after reviewing the Oklahoma City Water Fund, is that you guys had some additional projects that were going into the wastewater treatment plant. Those are the projects that we had budgeted for that are no longer necessary because we're going to be constructing a new wastewater treatment plant, and also because we'll be doing some different processes through our sludge management plan. So those are funds that can actually be put back towards this project if you guys so desire. So I just want to let you guys know that about that going forward.
Okay? All right.
Would there be is there a way to direct the city to move forward with the easement issue and just trying to get more information? And how can we potentially get all that straightened out?
Yeah,
it sounds like that's a first step, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've been in negotiations, and actually I have those negotiation results ready for you guys, and we'll be taking those into an executive session after this particular meeting at our next GPWA meeting. So, but we wanted to get this information out there first before we actually went in there and talked about that, because I think up until it was probably just a few weeks ago that I got the actual map of the 12.54 acres that are actually necessary even for the third alternative. So more than anything else, I wanted to make sure that I knew what we were negotiating for, and that as everyone has come to an understanding here today, that we're not negotiation based upon a year by year or a month by month easement, but we're actually looking at controlling the property through ownership, because at the end of the day, we've already probably invested over $1 million plus, but yet we don't even have access to the land in order to go to our intake structure. And, you know, that's hopefully not the decisions we want to make forward. We want to make sure if we continue to put money into the area, and we're going to continue that as the intake area, that we have the ability to make sure and do whatever is necessary in order to have the quantity and quality of water we need from to serve our water treatment plant.
So it's really a cost risk issue, lower cost, a risk of not having a effective water supply long-term versus looking at a longer-term, more costly element.
Yes, operation and maintenance and repair. You know, the frequency of repair and the frequency of maintenance. Obviously, you know, the $500,000 alternative doesn't have the durability, the strength as spending, you know, $1.5 million down there and pouring concrete and drilling piers would, but.
Sure.
But is
Okay.
there not, excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
but is there not also on the more expensive with drilling in piers with a 1,000-year flood, say, that would possibly wash away the riprap dam? Would it not undermine or possibly wash away the more expensive dam also?
No, we can design for that.
You're talking about the million-year flood.
We can use big rocks. We can use
So it
heavy
won't
enough.
wash-
We can use heavy enough rocks to withstand the shear. The problem is, you know, if you start placing a soil in a saturated environment, even with chemical additives over time, it's not going to. It's going to break down much faster than concrete. And you're eventually going to lose that strength of that soil just on account of the chemical reactions of the water with that soil. And so and now if you put a log jam up against this dam, and that log jam accumulates during a 500-year flood event, now we have a lot of shear force on an earthen material, and so it's just more prone to failure than reinforced concrete. If we go down
I
there,
understand
yes,
that, but I mean, just in a huge flood, the other dam, the more expensive one, it would be as prone to washing out also if there was that type of, I mean, this should be engineered to the point where any riprap or any limbs or anything that comes down the stream would wash over, or say wash over the top. Yes, I understand that there's going to be a major shear force against it, but obviously it's going to have some angle of repose there that's going to help wash over.
The weight of the riprap itself will be enough to hold the banks in a stable condition. But however, when you start talking about a soil structure in the bottom of the creek that could be experience high shear, that's where your failure would occur, is on the embankment material.
So is there any way to
now,
do a hybrid between, say, a complete concrete dam and, say, the earthen dam that has been designed at minimal more cost?
You know, maybe we could do one concrete dam instead of the upstream concrete dam.
Well,
So basically, we need to have another meeting, maybe with you guys in, and determine which way we need to go.
If you'd like to open that, after this meeting and after this discussion, if you'd like to have another workshop to discuss it in further detail, then yes, let's get that scheduled.
It sounds like that will
I'm
be
hearing
necessary, as well as some alternatives such as what,
Because I'm hearing
Wood
new
was talking
designs
about.
from what was given to us a year ago.
Well, sure.
Or,
Yeah.
and things have, it's like we didn't have all that information of what we could do, and I wasn't aware of the concrete dam. There was just two smaller earthen dams that we had talked about at that time.
We were made aware of a budget constraint, and so we had to work.
They were
within
working within that.
that budget constraint. In my initial letter, I had stated that to do this right, we need to spend over $1 million to do it right, and then it was just, well, we just need to have something in place within this budget.
Okay, thank you, Matt. I think that you've given us a whole lot more information. We probably have need for some continuing information, but as well as what the financing opportunities might be also. But clearly, your first initiative was within the constraints that we established, was the budget constraints that we established. So
Nice damn briefing.
really appreciate the thoroughness of this presentation.
No problem. And after we have a clear direction, then perhaps we should discuss maybe streamlining this project and get it to where, we're not working a minimal amount of time per month on this project to get something in place and get this behind us. And that way.
Matt, I think we're in agreement. We wanted this thing done 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
100% violent agreement.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Bill, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. That's the last item. We are still on recess for the Public Works Authority until we deal with the budget, which is in the city council
We'll
meeting.
need a motion to recess Public Works, Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Oops. Submit your votes. Unanimous to go to recess on item number 6 of the budget incorporated into the Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting. I call to order now our city council meeting of September 20th. Item number 2, discussion possible action on the minutes of our last meeting of September 6th. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second to approve those.
Second.
Any discussion? Submit your votes. See the votes. Unanimous approval of the minutes of September 6th. Minutes of our special council meeting of September 13th. Entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Submit your votes.
Councilman Baldwin.
I did. Did not register?
Push
See
hard.
the votes.
There you go.
Unanimous approval of the special council meeting workshop of September 13th. Item number 4 is the budget amendment number 10, increasing budget for general fund, fire fund, grant fund, capital project, airport grant fund, and airport funds. Staff comments?
Yeah, we discussed
Any?
this last week. I did add to it. This was the first month of us collecting the sales tax, and so this will allow us to move it from general fund into capital projects fund
Okay.
as well.
All right.
So these are just the grants.
This was all additions to those funds generally through grants or like Kim said, the sales tax. Entertain a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Discussion? Submit your vote, please. See the votes. Unanimous approval to approve budget amendment number 10. Item number 5, discussion and possible action concerning the engagement letter of Crawford and Associates, similar to previous discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Submit your votes. Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to move forward with Crawford and Associates as our accounting and a consulting firm. Item number 6, discussion possible action EMS agreement with the city and Logan County Emergency Medical Systems Board of Trustees.
Our yearly contract with the district. You got any comments, questions, concerns, Eric?
Okay.
It's the same annual deal, right? Pretty much.
Jim has the figures. I believe it raised just here for this next year.
We've plugged in 356,000, just a little over 356,000 this year.
Yep. I think it was same as last year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second? I'm sorry, there was a second down here?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes? Unanimous approval for that EMS agreement with City of Guthrie and Logan County. Item number 7, action concerning civil defense siren maintenance agreement.
Again, the yearly contract that we have with Goddard come in and do maintenance on our sirens.
And this is same as last year also, I believe. They've been maintaining them for a number of years.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of the civil service siren maintenance agreement. And then number 8, discussion possible action concerning renewal of Honor Park lease agreement with the city, between the city and the American Legion.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous agreement to go ahead with that Honor Park lease agreement between city and American Legion. Item number 9, discussion possible action concerning between the city of Guthrie and Logan County Community Services for temporary shelter for juveniles. Staff comment?
Yeah, it's just an agreement that we have, same as we've had last year and years before that, so.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of that agreement with Logan County Community Services. Item number 10, discussion possible action concerning a contract with First Capital Neighborhood Solutions, and I believe we had somebody that was going to speak on that. Actually, I had Sue Ducharme, but she's pointing to...
Come on.
I only got, Sue, I only have yours. So,
Joe,
would you...
Joe did.
Joe signed up
Yeah,
too.
Joe signed it too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do. Okay. Either one of you, or both.
I would choose to speak after the vote.
Okay.
if that's all right.
I'm going to make this really quick. But I wanted to use this up.
You need to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Joe Chappell. I'm the Vice President of Neighborhood Solutions. And I wanted to use this opportunity because word on the street that the Nielsen ratings are really high on Channel 20 right now. But I just wanted to get out to the, first of all, I want to thank the city for the support they've given to Neighborhood Solutions for the 8 years that we've been here in Guthrie. We provide assistance to low-income families with 1% interest home ownership loans, grants for senior home repairs, home improvement materials for low-income homeowners. We were just nominated for the Affiliate of the Year for Keep Oklahoma Beautiful for community work, and we assist survivors with some of the fires, any disaster that happens locally. And in the past, since we have been housed here in City Hall, the city supports us so much that the city was getting credit for a lot of the work that our organization has done. And we appreciate it so much. And we will be moving out of City Hall, but I did want to let you all know that part of our mission is to continue to let people in Guthrie know that the good things that we're able to do for the community are still possible because of the city of Guthrie. And I just wanted to thank, and I want to thank you guys for your service. You don't have an easy job. I don't envy you. And I want to thank you and thank the city for the support we've gotten.
Can I ask a question of Joe?
Yes.
So you're moving out of City Hall, Neighborhood
Yes.
Solutions. Is that what you want, or?
I have no problem with it at all. I know that, and because they're providing us a space, I do know that in the past I have talked about the fact that what I liked about Neighborhood Solutions being here is that City Hall oftentimes is a place where people don't look forward to coming to. They're either paying a ticket or they're seeing a judge or they got to complain about their neighbor. It's just not a warm, cozy place. And I always felt like Neighborhood Solutions was sort of a nice, warm, fuzzy spot to fall here at City Hall, because it was people coming in with problems that, and with the, you know, the ladies, the wonderful ladies that Dottie and Lynn and Sue provide, you know, if they don't have an answer, they've got a phone number. So, but the city has provided us with a space that I think can be very helpful. But my hope is that, too, that we will continue. It won't be as easy to get the message out that the city of Guthrie is that's something this provides, but it's something that we hope to continue to do. So,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Sue?
Maybe Mayor, Mr. Mayor,
Oh,
if I might.
sure.
There are a lot of people here this evening that work with or represent Neighborhood Solutions. They've come, I think, probably because we've been very kind in letting them house here at this time, and we are going to vote in a few minutes on a contract or a lease, let's say, that they would like to continue, and I'm not sure if Bruce can give me the verbiage on the contract for the length of time.
Yeah, I think more than anything else is that we do have an inability to have a multi-year lease just because it's owned by the city of Guthrie, and therefore we're restricted by state law that we can only do 12 months out. But we can place some language in there, which is already in there, that essentially would give them notification that they'd have to be removed. I think at this point in time, you guys will be requesting either 6 months or 9 months, whatever you guys request, to put that language in there to make it amended instead of the 60 days I think that's currently written in there.
And automatically renewed every year, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to confirm that that's okay with you before we do anything there. Again, thank you very much, and thank the city for allowing us to do this and supporting us financially as well. And thank you all for coming to be here and show your support for Neighborhood Solutions. Thank you.
I just wanted to add my thanks to this council and the councils before you that have supported us. We started off organizing neighborhood associations, and from that, I know people think we're a social organization, kind of like helping poor people, you know, that's what we hear. You guys help. We're actually community advocates, and we're very proud of the fact that our community comes first. We also work in all of Logan County, but we are advocates for those who cannot advocate for themselves simply because they don't know what's available to them. Some don't know their rights, and others have no idea what they can have. Own a home, repair a house, get a new door or new window. So we're truly proud of what we're able to do. But I just wanted you folks to meet our board members, if that's okay.
Sure.
Joe Chappell. There. Thank you. Yeah. Michael O'Neill.
Stand.
You can
Stand
stand.
up, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
Right. Joe Burkett. O.J. Myers. Martha Young. Did I miss anyone? And then, of course, Cheryl Pageant actually keeps us in line. She makes sure the money's where it's supposed to be, and we follow the rules, and we're happy to follow any of your rules. We're very pleased about our new location. We need the space. We've been working 2 in an office with 2 desks in the office, and sometimes 4 clients in that same office. So it's kind of a beehive, and it's noisy, and Dottie is 88 years young now, and it's more difficult. So having this new location would really make things better for us. We're very happy with that particular change. We hope to be able to keep, for as long as we can, the large space of our warehouse. We are giving up the front area in exchange for the location that we have, and we're happy to do that too. So thank you all again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
I
sir.
make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Further
We need to have with that to be amended also to add the 180 instead of 30-day notice.
Right.
And the renewable option, automatic renewable,
Yes.
please.
So I make an amendment to the motion to
Yes.
make it 180-day
In annual renewal.
and an annual renewal.
And the second?
Second.
Agrees with that? Yep. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of the contract with Neighborhood Solutions, and congratulations for the great job that you all do, and the many volunteers that are involved too. You help make a difference in our community.
Just as a side, if I might say, it's been over $5 million that we've helped in donations and volunteer labor. Oh, pardon me, 8 million, I'm sorry. In the last, 8 years? 8 years. And we have a lot of volunteers that come to us and say, what can we do now? God bless them, and thank you all very much.
Great job. Item number 11, discussion, possible action of ground hangar lease amendment for Latham Investments at the airport. Staff comments?
Sean, you got anything to
Sean?
add to what was in the packet?
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of that hangar lease amendment. Item number 12, discussion, possible action of cooperative service field agreement with the city and the regional airport concerning keeping wildlife off of the premises, I guess.
Same as last year, right?
Get those coyotes and deer and stuff out of there.
Same deal. Motion to
Okay.
approve.
Second. Any other discussion? Take the votes. See the votes? Unanimous approval of that agreement with the, keep our wildlife out of the airport. Item number 13, discussion, possible action regarding resolution 2016, which is adopting the 2017 budget for general fund, public works, and miscellaneous fund.
Yeah, this is a resolution and approve the budget that reflects what we've done in the current fiscal year previous budget, other than some additional revenues that we calculated for this year. But we did take into consideration Councilman Bothroyd's request for the salaries and personnels that were placed back in there, plus with the automatically renewal increases that we have year by year basis. There's also additional grant monies in there from the police department that were reflected, that we already have contracted for. Also the same thing with the school district. And I think we also maybe placed something in there about a possible future contract for trolley services. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'm just going to say we need to come back to this in a second, because I think we really need to jump into all these contracts you got in executive session, where you've got your firefighters and your order police and all these other contracts that we need to talk about as part of the budget before we go approving it.
Sure.
We need to go into executive session, but I would suggest that we would finish the rest of the agenda and come back to this item after, and then go into the.
So do I have a motion to recess?
We can do 14 and 15.
Yeah, do 14, 15.
And then go into executive session and come back and do 13 after executive session.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
All right.
So moved.
So we'll
You don't need a.
We'll
No, we don't need a
skip over,
motion.
we'll skip
We
over
don't need a
13 at this time.
All right.
And go to item number 14, resolution 2016, renewal of lease purchase agreement with F&M Bank.
This is
Staff?
just, yeah, it's just a, something that F&M requires every year with our current lease purchase with them.
Okay, all right. So moved. For vehicles,
Yes.
okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of the resolution 2016-19. Item number 15, discussion possible action to appoint Mike Monahan, H.C. Patel, and Jason Smedley to the 3 vacancies in the Convention Visitors Bureau, Visitors Board. My nomination, I think Mike Monahan brings some significant background in media that it would be helpful. He's been involved with the city and is been actively engaged with a lot of our activities with the Convention and Visitors Bureau as well as other activities. That'd be my first nomination.
Aren't we?
Are we voting on all three of them?
All three
All
of
three
them?
of them together? They're all
we-
three going, right?
You can if you choose to.
In the past, we've done them individually, but
I'd make a motion to approve all three.
Second.
is there any other discussion? Made it quicker. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of the three individuals, the new individuals to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. 16, City Manager Report.
We poured the last concrete tee box for the Highland Park Disc Golf Course, so that is now open for business. So I want to make you guys aware of that, and also that we had our first post-settlement meeting, conference meeting with Logan County Rural Water District Number 2, so we can go and address any issues that we may have to execute the settlement agreement. And by everyone involved, everything went very well, and things continue to move forward. And we'll continue to have periodic meetings in the areas that are needed to make sure that all the items that are in the settlement agreement are executed.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
17, comments from staff. Z? Welcome back.
I'm just glad to be here tonight, and that was a long damn briefing we had a while ago.
It's all about dams. It's all about dams.
It's a damn long session.
Everybody got to cut that.
No, I really don't have anything. I need to stand up in a minute, so.
Okay, Councilman Guthrie.
No, actually I do. A couple of councils ago, a citizen got up and, was talking up there and made a pointed comment towards my direction, and I raised my voice on it, and that was wrong. Should have never done it. And so I'm accountable for that, and just wanted to get that out there.
Appreciate that. Councilman John Wood.
I don't have anything tonight.
Ed Wood.
Nothing tonight, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Jeff?
We got a fly-in coming in this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
24.
What time to start?
It's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and everybody needs to come out. That's going to be a fun day.
Gave us the t-shirts for that.
That's right.
That'll be there.
And please wear your t-shirts, but come on out. It's going to be fun. Oh, and football's going. Now, Guthrie didn't play last week, so maybe this week we'll win instead of getting a loss the hard way. So.
Councilwoman Paget?
I want to go ahead and extend what he said. I believe Shalon said that there would be also helicopter rides. $40. Take your $40 and go out there and take a helicopter ride, and there are going to be a lot of activities, antique cars, planes, all kinds of just fun stuff. Go.
My wife doesn't
support
wanna
your
fly.
community. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. If I get down on my knees, I might-
It'll be a great event for a gem that we have in our community. And I almost said hidden gem. It shouldn't be hidden. It should be well recognized. The airport does a great service and is a great community asset. Well, there is also the Lions are having a fish fry Friday. So I'll just throw that out if you want to have some fish for lunch or dinner.
Sounds good to me.
American Legion.
Don't
Be
forget
there.
the festival's coming up here on October the 1st too,
Okay.
as well.
Bluegrass.
Got bluegrass coming right around the corner, folks.
All happening.
Okay.
It's a happening place. Okay, number 18, approval to convene into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We actually need to state what each one of those is for, Mayor.
Okay.
Purposes of discussing employment of city attorney, city judge, alternate judge, city manager. Also discussing the negotiations for the Association of Firefighters and the Fraternal Order of Police. Items A through E. Now, is there a motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially in executive session.